Welcome to Face the Facts. I know it's been a while, but we are back, and I am Nick Face. I welcome you to our wonderful program tonight, where we're going to be talking a lot about what's going on in the wonderful world of sports. Sitting beside me to my left tonight is Chris Millett. We want to welcome him back, and it's been a while for him since he was here. He was actually on the revamped first episode that we came back here for the North Reading community, so welcome.
It's great to be back, Nick.
And it's great to be able to talk about a lot of things that are going on in sports because, boy, do we have a long list of things. If we don't cover something here tonight, we apologize because as of this taping here tonight, we have breaking news into the desk, which covers something that a lot of people were interested to hear about, and that is balls.
That's right.
Deflated footballs is where the topic starts from that. And what we want to talk about is this Wells report. The Wells report is an investigation into the lovely story on if the Patriots cheated or if they didn't cheat in the game leading up to the Super Bowl against the Colts, which was this year. We want to talk about it. We want to express our thoughts and maybe some other people's thoughts on this topic and see if the justification is right for the Patriots in the blame game or if this should just be completely thrown out in the left field and we can forget about it. So, Chris, I want to ask you first. The report came out today. I got a message on my phone, and I'm sure everybody else saw it and said, what is this?
The Wells report basically was a former lawyer of the NFL who still holds some ties with the NFL. They call upon Mr. Wells in these types of investigations or situations. And basically, Mr. Wells solved zero things for us as a Patriots organization, and his ending conclusion was that they probably cheated. The Patriots probably cheated. Now, that to me just screams that he has zero evidence zero hardcore evidence that they could have cheated.
Yep.
But there's just these little things that could tip them off. It's almost like the little things are almost like the grudges or just because we're the Patriots, they're the Patriots, so they might have. It's again this mentality. The Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy said it all. They hate us because they ain't us. This hate is not going to stop, and it's just
it's no secret
ridiculous.
That not just teams, but a lot of people around the world hate the Patriots.
Correct.
That hate comes from probably jealousy. It probably comes a lot from Belichick at his press conference. You know, he's not the most happy person when he has to speak to all the lovely people in the world. But the Patriots have always had this black cloud around them. Maybe this has to do with Spygate a little bit from back in the day. Maybe it has to do with the way the Patriots do specific things. So, in a way, it's not fair that they have to be under this bubble.
Right. I think we're going back to Spygate. All right. Right. Belichick acknowledged that he indeed did cheat. I think whoever it may be, whatever team, whatever individual, there's always that time where we might cheat the system in some way, somehow. And being a man and owning up to that is a big part of recognizing that problem. But I think that coming back to this Deflategate is, I don't want to say irrelevant, because we still have that black cloud over our shoulders, but I don't think that Spygate should have anything to do with Deflategate. We're talking about footballs and the air pressure. And
first of all, who named this Deflategate? Where did that name come from?
I think it was just
stupidity.
News station who was covering the story. And
why does everything have to have a gate next to it?
Right.
You know, you got Watergate, you have Spygate. What are we going to have? Baseball gate next?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the way it was put out as gate is just because of everything that's been associated with some kind of scandal.
Yeah.
This isn't a scandal.
Exactly.
It's like people want this hardcore, undercover, secretive evidence and find the answer to something, and I don't think that's going to happen.
What I think was one of the key points that came out of this Wells report, which we need to take away as as fans of the NFL was that the Colts had concerns about the balls before the games. They let people know. They let the officials know. Mm-hmm. They let the league representatives who were there know, and the league did nothing about it. Mm-hmm. They did nothing about it. It's almost, it makes me think that they wanted to catch Brady and the Patriots in act. They wanted to catch them and wait to the game.
I like that statement.
It's, if you know about it, test the balls. Why? Mm-hmm. Why? It's because, exactly, they hate us because they ain't us. They want to catch us in the act.
I remember we did a show leading up before the Super Bowl, and we went over a couple specifics on, I want to also catch people up to date on a little bit of probably some scientific news that they need to know. Mm-hmm. Footballs in the NFL have to have, at minimum, 12.5 PSI in that, correct?
Correct.
They can't have anything higher than that, and it really can't be any lower than that. It has to be 12.5 specific for a PSI. Now, in that game against Indianapolis, it was very cold, which we also need to distinguish as well. Professor Belichick had his wonderful press conference where he came out, and I thought he really did a nice job explaining that the atmospheric pressure can actually take some air out of those balls due to weather.
Exactly. He basically throwed science and scientific laws and known facts to everyone just in their face at that press conference, and it's absolutely true.
Right.
I mean, we have numbers that just came out in the Wells report today proving Belichick right. Mm-hmm. Belichick's right in this situation. It frustrates me a lot, and
another couple things that do frustrate me on this too is, now let's think about it on the other terms. There are some things that the NFL can look at and say that something shady was going on. We know about the locker room attendant with Tom Brady. Apparently that some text messages were thrown back and forth today between the two of them. We also know about there was a ball boy or a ball guy, equipment manager or whatever you call him, where he left for about a minute and a half, I think, to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And he took the balls inside of there. That's what security cameras were able to catch.
Which I think on the Wells report was saying that it proved something that he did nothing with the balls in the bathroom.
Yep.
That also came out today.
I'm assuming they don't have a camera from the bathroom, because that's
well, let's hope so.
Because that would that would be an issue in its own right for the own guy there. But we can question a couple things. Why did the guy take the balls into the bathroom?
Maybe he doesn't want to leave them out.
That's what I would think. Maybe he doesn't want to leave them by the side so somebody would tamper with them.
He's responsible for them. It's his job. He is the ball boy. That's why he's getting paid. The AFC Championship.
Right.
If you think if someone takes those balls, Belichick isn't going to get on him, and that's what the guy lives for, basically.
Right. The other thing you can look at is, why is Tom Brady texting his equipment manager the day before or the day after for making sure he's all right? Like, there was a message that came back and said, "Hey, Johnny, I hope you're all right, guy," or something like that. That's where I can understand a little bit on their possible accusation, but I don't see proof in messages.
It's proven, it's well known that Brady and the equipment manager have a very, very good relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's also known to everyone that Brady likes the balls a little bit in the lower zone of the PSI. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that. It's no news to anyone. And I think in such a big game like this one, and how much you could see Brady wanted to win this championship, maybe that's just a confirmation that the PSI is going to be in that lower range.
Right.
I think we're overthinking, and the NFL is overthinking these messages. Yes, maybe it could have been something, but I think the text messages are just Brady confirming that the balls are going to be where he likes them.
If I was a quarterback, I would want to make sure things are good for me.
Right.
Maybe he needs to make sure that it has a specific feel to it, or a specific, style or feel or something like that. Now, I know that we went over this before when the Super Bowl came. I didn't put two footballs on the air, but I know a couple other media professionalists out there did. They put a football that had 10 PSI in it and a 12.5 side by side. Because I believe that's what the air was. Maybe it was 11 something.
It was 11 something, yeah. 11 and change.
Well, truth be told, you cannot tell the difference on which ball has what inside of it. Mm-hmm. You can't, all right? That's something that I am sure can also be put into this whole report here. If the officials didn't test the balls and didn't test the range, how do you really know which ball is what? You can't.
Exactly. Well, I think in the player's defense, well, Brady knows what the 11 and change ball feels like compared to the 12.5.
He probably does, yes.
The players.
But I'm sure the refs don't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'm sure the refs don't. So maybe there's more to the story that we're thinking about, and maybe there's more to the discussion. But at the end of the day, I think it's very difficult to be able to put blame onto something from professionals that aren't doing their job. That's the bottom line here. And if they're going to make an investigation and special report on it, well, why aren't the officials taking the blame for this? It should be their fault.
Exactly. And professionals not doing their job, the officials, what also came out in the report today were the halftime measurements of the PSI and the after the game measurements of the PSI, which we do have a chart with the measurements. And these measurements are off by 0.3, 0.5 PSI each. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they were doing, if they were waiting time or maybe they were taking air out of the balls themselves. But if we're the two officials...
It's from Gronk spiking the ball, folks. That's what it's from.
If we're the two officials and we're measuring the balls, it's only sensible and logical to me that once I'm done, I'm just handing it over to you and you're using the same tool that I am.
That's what I would think.
But
what are some of the readings that you have from your research?
Well, I want to share some of the measurements that confirm that these referees had flawed measurements.
Okay.
They were off. Ball 1, 11.5, and ref 2 had it at 11.8.
Okay.
Ball 2, ref 1 had it at 10.8, ref 2 had it at 11.2.
Okay.
And just another one out here, ball 7 had, ref 1 had it at 11.6 and 11.85, and ref 2 had it at 12.3. That's 0.6 PSI. How is that changing between the measurements?
It's not.
It's referees not doing their job. It's flawed. It's flawed tools. It's flawed NFL is what it is. At the end of the day, it's flawed NFL.
Or it could be lazy management, like you said. Flaws.
Exactly.
It's lazy management.
And it all goes back to the top.
Right.
It all goes back to the top.
I mean, we've seen it all with what the NFL has gone through in this past year. We've seen it through the abuse scandals. We've seen it through Spygate. We have seen it through even the lockout. Remember the lockout saga and all that? I don't think that they're doing a good job really running this league. And it starts from the top with Goodell. It starts at the top with Goodell. I think because I know Robert Kraft was a big supporter of Goodell. All right. Mm-hmm. After this comes out, he's not calling. that number's deleted from his phone right now. I'm telling you right now. There's no more love there.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, even Goodell said he's not apologizing.
Yeah.
Not even a question he does.
Yeah. So there's a love-hate relationship right there. All right. Actually, there's probably no relationship there at all. So that's going to definitely have some say because Robert Kraft is one of the most influential owners in the NFL.
Absolutely.
He has a lot of say.
Absolutely.
A whole lot of say. So to see how this whole thing plays out will be interesting. I know he did have a statement and said how disgusted he was with reading something like this because in my eyes, I don't think he has any clue what's going on with this. I have to believe that. As an owner, I don't think that he knows about anything that was going on here.
No, he's not involved with the PSI. To be quite honest, he probably cares. He couldn't care less about it.
Probably not exactly.
Right. He's counting the wad of cash up in the booth.
As an owner should. You
Right.
know, as an owner should. That's it. This is his baby.
Yeah.
So at the end of the story here, the investigation was able to come out and say that the Patriots possibly cheated. How about that? After how many days? Long too many. Long too many.
We're on like 5 months now.
Now, if this report comes out and they have to penalize specific things, what are the prices to pay?
What are the prices? I don't even think you can penalize someone.
See, I'm thinking the same thing.
How can you, with so many of the flaws in the investigation, they probably cheated. How can you penalize someone for they probably did something?
Is Aaron Hernandez probably a murderer?
Right.
Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's not how the system goes.
And like we were talking about, I don't think you can penalize Brady. I don't think you can penalize Belichick.
But will they?
Will they, just to take a stance? If they do, I think that's going to be classic NFL, just trying to be, again, that like almost that upper authority, trying to make up for all their flaws in this, and it's stupid. Own that you messed up in this investigation. Own that it was preposterously just stupid.
I think we realize, and I think the NFL even knows that this report is flawed, because if it were something of any length or any correctness or words to say there, I think we would have seen this report released before the draft.
Absolutely.
Because that would be one way to be able to penalize a team. Like we saw with the tampering charges with the Jets, that was done before the draft. So the Jets knew that they were going to be penalized because they were tampering and talking to Revis while he was a Patriot. That's what I'm looking at. And then you also have like the crowd noise with, what team was that? Was that the Browns? And there was somebody sending text messages in between games. They were penalized before the draft.
Right.
So if there's any penalty at all here, I don't see it happening.
Right.
You know, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I think
if I'm here, I'm thinking this is thrown out and it's...
I think they know nothing's
one
wrong.
of these. Don't do it again.
Right.
If I were the NFL, that's what I would do. Because if you want to pop bubbles, then you're going to be in some serious trouble, especially with an owner who's so influential in the NFL. You have a quarterback that's probably the best of all time, and you have one of the best coaches of all time.
Exactly.
So if you want to, tick off that team, you better watch out.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of a deflated team, we have to talk about the Red Sox, because we knew as fans coming into this season that it did not look like a team yet, okay? There was missing pieces, and the missing pieces to the puzzle are severely hurting this team.
Exactly.
The missing pieces are your pitchers. I could even probably say the offense is missing things, but we got to start from the top, and we got to think about what needs to be done. I know it's hard to make any kind of report after a pitcher pitches a solid outing, which was last night with Rick Porcello. Gave him a quality start. That doesn't come in Boston that often. But that's one game, folks. One. If anybody knows what their ERA is, it's almost 5.5, if not over 5.5. That is atrocious. That is 29th in the league in baseball, and that is totally unacceptable. Where do you correct it? How do you do it?
Well,
is there a correction?
I mean, the correction is obviously who are you throwing on the hill every day? And is that person really going to give you that quality start that you need, especially with your struggling offense right now? And we saw in spring training that the offense looked good. I thought we were, with Pablo, with Hanley, with Ortiz, with Pedroia, I thought we were going to be hitting bombs and crushing it this season.
Somebody was even doing really good. He didn't mention his name. Napoli.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I am one of the biggest, I say this all the time, that, again, spring training really doesn't mean anything. We have teams such as, like, the Indians or maybe, I don't know, some other team that maybe do...
The Twins did pretty well in spring training.
Exactly.
Yeah. How are they doing now?
Spring training doesn't really mean much, but I thought, especially for this team coming together, how they were hitting, I thought maybe that power would portray what they do at Fenway.
Yep.
And especially with the smallest field in
in
the MLB.
Yeah.
And with the power you have, I don't understand how it's not coming out in these boys. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's chemistry. They seem like they have great chemistry. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is.
Well, like we did with this Deflategate, we got to start from the top.
Right.
Okay, your top dog that puts this together is Ben Sherrington. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here's a guy that was worst to first to worst again. Well, guess what? It looks like the Titanic is sinking again for him. You have to start with the top with him in evaluations. I am sick and tired of them overpraising prospects. I am sick of it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. It started with Bogarts. It went to Jackie Bradley Jr. It went to a guy we haven't even seen yet, and it's the lefty in Pawtucket, and his name is, it's not Brian Johnson, it's
Henry Owens?
Henry Owens, thank you. We haven't seen him, have we?
No.
All right. It starts with Blake Swihart. It goes from back to Lars Anderson. It goes to, you name it, Anthony Rizzo and all these people. Okay? If you have a solid prospect, okay, trade them. Go get proven talent, okay?
Exactly.
This is not the Miami Mets or Miami Marlins, excuse me. Or the Boston Red Sox. We have money. Go spend it on quality.
In this offseason, they answered their offense problems. They got big bats. Mm-hmm. They didn't answer the void of Jon Lester. Mm-hmm. They got Masterson and they got Kelly and Miley or something.
Miley Cyrus, folks. And they get the best of both worlds on that one.
You have three I don't even think are 1, 2, or 3 in the rotation.
They're 4 or 5.
They're 4 or 5 guys on maybe even a few innings in the bullpen.
I think we have 5 number ones. John Farrell's statement before. Man, does he look like a fool after that.
If Miley or Masterson's my number 1, then that's a AAA team.
Who is the number 1 right now? Or is there one?
I think Rick Porcello is your number 1.
You think? Oh, is this possibly? There we go again.
This is the probable deflate.
Yeah.
I'm saying I think probably because he hasn't proven himself.
I would say the same thing, though. I would.
Yes, great outing last night. Mm-hmm. Great outing. But look at the outings before that. Mm-hmm. It's not consistent. My number 1 is a consistent pitcher who is going out there and striking out 5, 6, anything above that, and is giving me the best, almost like a probable
7 innings.
A probable win that day.
Less than 3. Like I said at the start of the show, it's all about the quality start, and they probably have had 5. You can count them on your fingers how many quality starts they've had this whole season so far, which is just not acceptable.
I think a baseball team is the center is the pitcher. Literally and in the dugout and mentally. We saw a couple days ago when Hanley Ramirez went down in the outfield, a completely different story that we need to touch up on.
Yep, we will.
Goes down. Buckholz just looks distraught, and it almost looked like broken.
You see it when he's pitching. When a pitcher is confident in everything, he stands out. He's got his chest out, shoulders up, head up, feeling good about yourself. He's a shoulder shrugger. He doesn't back up bases. He kicks dirt and acts like a little fool on the mound. I am done with Clay Buchholz. I'm sorry, but you know what? This guy can't win me over. He pitches lights out the rest of the season. Mm-hmm.
We saw him last year. We've seen him in the years before. He's inconsistent. It's classic Buchholz. We'll probably see him on the DL in a month or two, maybe before the All-Star break. It's classic. Get rid of him.
Even if it requires releasing him, I'm fine with that. I'll pack his suitcase right now. See you later, buddy.
Yeah.
That's something that they need to think about, too. I think Farrell can be a little bit of a softie as a manager, too. I think that he gets a free pass because he won his little World Series, but I think this World Series was one of the worst things that happened for this team. The reason I'm saying this is because as soon as this team won, it felt like, oh, okay, here we go. We don't have to,
exactly.
We're through the motions again.
They backed off.
And they felt they didn't have to bring people back that they thought could help them more. Mm-hmm. Okay, that led from Lester leaving, which I think that they totally screwed up. Lester should still be in a Red Sox uniform. But the Red Sox want to lowball him, like they did. Mm-hmm. Of course he's going to Chicago. They showed him more respect, I think.
They, in one of their trying to get him proposals, they sent him a video. They sent Lester a video of him on the hill at Game 7 of the World Series, and throwing a great outing. And that's what virtually won him over. He saw, well, obviously it was the dough that won him over.
But for the Cubs, seeing that showed how much they valued him and wanted him a part of breaking history.
Seeing what he could do for the organization and a city, seeing that he could be the centerpiece to lift that city to this master championship.
You know what? And to tell you the truth, we got to remember how much emphasis probably Theo Epstein had a lot too. Remember, this was the guy that originally signed many of these players. He probably feels comfortable with going to somebody who believed in him and wants the best for him. Things like that. And that's why I think the Cubs will end up being a successful team. I think Theo has more talent than Sherrington will ever have in his life.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Epstein was Sherrington's mentor.
Exactly.
And you'd think that Sherrington would carry some of those qualities that Epstein did and almost see what Theo's doing and what maybe he should be doing.
And let's not be over Theo here. He did make his mistakes. Julio Lugo, Bobby Jenks, Matt Clement. That was garbage junk. But we got to remember about the positive things that he brought in, like a Keith Folk and a Kurt Schilling.
An 04 championship.
Things like that. The key with Epstein, however, though, with what Sherrington has not had, is your minor league talent and your drafting.
That's right.
Theo was able to bring up people like a Pedroia, a Lester, a Papelbon, a Buchholz, when quality and things like that.
And his no-hitter in his rookie year.
Anthony Rizzo, another one. That's why he has it with his team. That's the difference. Who was Sherrington developed?
Swihart? I don't even know. Wasn't Swihart even in the system when I think Swihart was in the system.
Probably in the system from it.
With Epstein. Yeah. And I was going to say Bogarts, but then no.
What is his biggest move he's done?
Sherrington?
This is a tough question because I asked myself this the other day.
Biggest move he's done is letting Lester go.
Yeah. Yep.
You can look at all the bats he's brought in, but I think
you can't look at maybe Hanley if he pans out might be, but we'll talk about offense in just a bit. Maybe it's Sandoval, but we don't. It's a small sample size.
Yeah.
It's a small sample size. Pitching wise, nothing. Epstein was responsible for Lackey, but remember that turned sour very quickly, and then it got good towards the end. Mm-hmm. There was Jake Peavy. Trading for him, maybe Sherrington would stand out for that, but he didn't do much.
And this just pops into my mind. I don't know if Sherrington in the offseason thought loading up on bats would, what's the word I'm looking for, would kind of embellish the offense so much that the pitching wouldn't really matter. We'd score the runs and we could let up
I think they put their eggs too far in a basket here and was thinking that the pitching was actually going to be okay. And I think that they've hit the rock bottom point on how this pitching actually is going to shape out. Do we have any final say on the whole pitching side? Now, there was one thing I have to say that really frustrated me the most from anything of having to watch the Red Sox was this past weekend when they played the Yankees. And here's why. You were killed, basically, by two players that, the Red Sox could technically still have. That's Ellsbury and that's Andrew Miller. I don't know if anybody thought about that, but you technically were. Okay, Miller has been absolutely shut down dominance for the Yankees, which I think he has 12 saves as of today.
There's another guy we lose last year.
And then Ellsbury comes out and just hits the ball all over the place against your team. And then he comes out, I know he gets hit in the side or whatever, and he has his comments, it's a good thing I wasn't on the bases because I'd go steal and keep scoring runs and stuff like that. But you know what? Ellsbury made it in this market, and he was able to produce. Why are the Red Sox so gung-ho on saying, you know what, see you later, when these guys produce, okay?
It's because they don't want to pay the cash, and we said that earlier. They lowball them, the offers.
But you're like the second or third highest paid team in the league, which is, I'm trying to understand it better.
Exactly. No, they think they have a great system below them. They think their Pawtucket is unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, granted, Pawtucket did win their International League championship last year. You have a good squad down there, but that doesn't mean at all that those players are going to pan to be these grandiose prospects and be your next all-star. They need to pay the proven players the money.
They have to, because what you're seeing here, I mean, how many times are you going to get a Dustin Pedroia? You're not.
You're not.
They're expecting Xander Bogaerts to be like a Dustin Pedroia, but we're not seeing it.
And they're expecting Swihart to be a Pedroia.
Oh, he's the best catcher upcoming.
They're expecting Mookie. They're expecting Holt. All of these are phenomenal baseball players, but are they going to pan out to these Golden Gloves and Silver Sluggers? I don't think so.
I'm leaning towards
sure
I don't
hope
think so too. I am leaning towards that too. I think that what we as fans don't think about enough is that this Boston market is very difficult to play in. I think some of these players, I think Bogaerts would be perfect for Tampa Bay.
I could see him fit in the system.
But this isn't Tampa Bay. There's a lot of pressure here, so we don't know what goes on in people's heads. We probably know what goes on in Clay Buchholz's head because that's like a golf ball size of nothing. But realistically, you can't really understand how a player adjusts to the big stage with a big audience, especially right here in Boston.
Great point.
So that's something that we probably need to think about a little bit more. I'm not saying to be sympathetic to it. I'm saying these players, you need a lot of toughness to be able to play here.
And maybe these guys are too young to hang in Fenway Park. Maybe they're not mature enough to play at this upper level. Maybe they're mature enough to play down in Tampa Bay where the pressure's off, but maybe they can't handle the pressure.
Well, we do know that Pawtucket is a whole lot different than Boston.
It is
a whole lot different. All right, that's one. There's one. Now I want to transition into the offense a little bit, and I want to start it first with Rusney Castillo because that was their big move that they did before the season started. They already had this guy back in August, and he played a little bit, got a sample size in September, but now he's getting hurt. He hasn't really played consistently in about 2 years and everything now. I don't know what to think about him because the Red Sox could desperately need another outfielder right now. You know, Hanley Ramirez is out right now.
Yeah.
You got the right field issues with them hitting like 120 on the season combined with Brock Holt and Victorino and Alan Craig and Daniel Nava. Will this guy do anything?
The outfield is so... I feel it's a question mark. It's one big question mark.
Yep.
Even Farrell said it at the beginning of the season in spring training. He didn't really know what the outfield was going to look like.
But we have like 7 outfielders, which blows my mind.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think it's like, who's going to perform today? Who do you think's? He looks around the locker room and it's like, all right, I'll put Hanley in there, Mookie, and I mean Brock Holt. I'm one of the biggest.
I would love Brock
Holt
to produce. Yep.
I think he should be playing almost every day. Mm-hmm. I do have some doubts if he is mature enough to play at this level. I think he is. Mm-hmm. I think he needs the MLB experience.
I think us as fans, because you're not alone with the Brock Holt thing. I really like Brock Holt's play. Okay, and there's a specific reason for that because it shows he cares.
Exactly.
Okay,
he's got the
giving
passion.
out.
He's got the Boston passion.
Yeah, he does. He does. And that's something that, to me, would lead me to believe that this guy, even if he's struggling, which he is right now hitting, he's like 1 for his last 20, that potentially Brock Holt could do something of some worth.
His work ethic reminds me of a lot of Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah.
I think they're really the dynamic duo in hard work, hustle, this passion to wear the Red Sox across their chest every night. I love to see that. Fans love to see that passion. Mm-hmm. This is our city. This is what the Red Sox are. What
you want
we're
players
waiting for almost. We want this passionate play.
Who care, and that by the way they play, you can kind of see that they care, which is a huge thing there. I think that's why it's so easy to root for certain players like that, and why it's so easy to be able to not root for people like a Buckholz and maybe even a Napoli or a Bogarts or a Victorino because they pansy out, basically.
Napoli's been killing me lately. Every single at-bat.
You have it on a fantasy team or something?
Oh, no. Every single at-bat, he wants to hit one out.
Yep.
Just the other day, advance the runner. Knock one to right. Get the base hit.
It was 3-2, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
To tie the game, he struck out.
Yep.
And just swinging for the fences every time really is not a team player to me.
We thought, I'm speaking in terms of you, and we were watching spring training, and it seemed like he found his swing. He had his surgery to correct he had sleep difficulty for the past couple years. So it seemed like that was going to be a good thing. Here's my thing on why I think Napoli struggled a little bit. Who did we open up against this year? And I think we opened up. We had a day off, correct, on a Monday, or maybe no, we played Monday. Excuse me, we had a day off a Sunday. We played Monday. Who played?
David Ortiz.
David Ortiz. Off day the next day. Okay. Who played the next game?
Was it Ortiz or Nap?
Napoli.
Yeah.
Who played the next one?
Ortiz.
Next day, you have a day off, and then you go back into the games again. When you're in spring training mode, you're playing every day. You got your swing. It feels to me like he lost his speed. He lost everything there. This is another question I have. How does a professional major league hitter able to struggle from missing 1 or 2 games or having a pinch hit?
In those days where he's not hitting, I think he should be compensating in batting cages constantly, just pounding the ball.
Right.
I think that's absurd that in one day he's losing his touch. That's inconsistency. That's not an MLB. That's not an MLB star.
I think Napoli. I don't see him getting out of this right now. I don't.
Getting out of a slump?
I don't. I for some reason, I think that the Red Sox are gonna when things come to push to shove. I think by the end of the season, you may see Hanley Ramirez be at first base.
Wow.
It's a bold prediction, but I see a big change coming.
Or how about even Brock Holt? He can play every position.
I think Holt's going to be playing in the outfield a little bit. Or you could potentially see him at shortstop because I think they're getting really fed up with Bogarts a little bit too. Another player who we also need to discuss who's worth $13 million, and you know who I'm going to say next, is your right fielder when he wants to play and not hurt, Shane Victorino. He's coming off the DL soon. What are you going to do?
And we know what Farrell's gonna do.
Victorino. I need the camera on me again, please. There we go. Victorino, Holt, Betts, Ramirez, Nava, Craig, Castillo, Brents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8. 8 outfielders who really aren't hitting besides Betts or Hanley when he's not hurt. Come on.
That's ridiculous. You gotta ship some out.
The Red Sox are gonna.
We're
gonna make history. I'm telling you right now that there's going to be players that are designated for assignment and released because nobody wants them, because they're hurt and they're just being wastoids on a roster. That's going to consist of Victorino. That's going to consist of Alan Craig. And don't be surprised, folks, with Mike Napoli. Do not be surprised because they have to kick it into gear somehow.
They do.
Every single thing that we were hearing from the media, we knew the pitching was going to stink. We knew that. That was a given. But the thing that we knew that wasn't obvious, the offense is just going to be so good this year that they just got to make up for all the bad pitching.
Yeah,
if I hear one more time from somebody out there in the media, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Nesson, Comcast, whatever, that says, this offense is just, they're going to pull through it and be fine.
Obviously not.
Like, what are they watching? What are they watching? Like, do they have Larry Lucchino in their back here or something?
They were watching.
Make sure you don't badmouth our offense because it's going to come through. It is very close to the middle of May now. Okay, it's getting warmer. I can understand if it's cold. But you know what? April really wasn't that cold.
And guess what's coming up again? It's that time of year. Well, we still got a couple month or two. The Red Sox slump, the summer slump.
Yep.
If we don't answer the questions now, we are in deep, deep trouble.
One of the things that I found really interesting about the way the schedule was put together this year, we just went through an 18-game stretch of playing All-American League opponents that were in our division, the AL East. I don't know if you knew that and picked up on that. If any fan doesn't know how important that was to take most of those games there, then you have something else coming to you, because that's right there is going to be single-handedly how a team's going to map out towards the end of the season.
I was just looking. They dropped 7 out of the last 10.
Yep.
And those wins, by no means.
And those are teams that you're going to be playing 18 times or something like that in a season.
And it's these series that these veteran players and the players on the field that day should know that these are, to me, must-win games. Mm-hmm. These are the games that are going to determine playoffs, if you're in or if you're out.
Right.
They're must-wins. You need to go out there and perform.
The Yankee series is going to come back and kill them, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I really think it's going to do it, because you had the Friday night game was a 3-2. Now, you can absolutely point fingers at a fan for reaching over the thing. Now, that's another issue that we can discuss there. Keep your hands in the stands.
The temptation.
It cost them the game.
The temptation of a souvenir.
And then there was the Saturday game where they just got clocked, I think. No, that was Miley's start. He actually had pitched half decent. The bats were terrible. And then Joe Kelly had the stinker.
Terrible all weekend.
Joe Kelly had the stinker on Sunday night. I believe that's who. Was it Joe Kelly that pitched the Sunday night game? He let up. Yeah, it was, because he let up all the home runs. It was like 8-5 was the final score. Something like that. Now, again, the killers of that series were Ellsbury and Miller. Money was determined on making those players go to those teams. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The Red Sox let Andrew Miller go last year to the Orioles, and they got another prospect in return who they're very high on. It was a difference of $2 to $3 million for Andrew Miller not to come back next year. You know where that money went? Where do you hear this? Where'd the money go to? Who did it go to? Do you have no idea?
Tell me.
Koji. Why on earth do you sign a 39-year closer for 2 years, $9 million? That's $18 million.
Sounds like the Red Sox.
You can't put money with Andrew Miller, who was, I thought that was the best left-hander I've seen.
Sounds like the Red Sox.
They were able to fix this guy and make him a dominant left-handed specialist and reliever out of the pen. Now he's closing for the New York Yankees. You're a rival.
How does that feel?
If that's not a stab in the gut, I don't know what else is. That was just an absolute sickening thing to have to watch this weekend. You know, they need to figure it out, because they have a lot of frustrated fans and people that care. They want to see their team go out there and do well. We're sick and tired as Red Sox fans. You have a losing season, and then you win, and then you lose. Can we just level it out, please? Right. I mean, I'll take an AL East championship and lose in the World Series. I don't care. Just get us back to somewhere where we can be a decent team.
A level of consistency.
Well, that's the point that I want to look at, because they're so inconsistent. And that starts again from the top. Your manager has a record of under 500 in his career as a big league manager. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yep.
He is not Terry Francona by any means. No way. He may be very talented as a pitching coach, but maybe we have to take that away, because the pitching isn't doing very well right now. But I don't see his in-game managing skills at a level where Francona's was. Maybe it's not fair to have them equal out or something like that. But they got to fix it.
When I've seen Farrell on TV, whenever they pan to him, he looks like he knows that something's up with his team.
But he's not saying it.
Exactly, and he's kind of lost as to what to do. We see it at the catcher position with Sandy Leon and Swihart. He's going up to these guys in the dugout and is trying to coach them, seeing what's going on, seeing what's working. And that, to me, is almost I respect that he is going to their players and asking them and seeing what they have to say. But as a manager at this big league level, you need to take charge.
So let's do this. I mean, I like Farrell. I think the players like him as a manager. I think he's a player's coach.
Exactly.
You know what I mean by that? That
exactly.
means that he's very easy to get along with and trust. And if someone's struggling, he's not going to throw him out under the bus. Things like that. Should the Red Sox look a different way and find another? Do you think he's lost his leadership in the clubhouse?
Lost his. Well, I mean, my only answer to that is that he needs to regain it. Mm-hmm. He needs to show us that he.
So you're thinking he kind of has lost a little bit?
Yeah, he needs to show it. He needs to show that he is the boss there.
Yep.
He's the man. I mean, maybe he is going to Sherrington and saying that, no, these guys aren't. These guys aren't working for me.
There it goes again. It's possible.
Maybe these guys aren't working for me.
Maybe he is. And I don't think, here's the thing. I do not think Farrell will be the blame guy. If something has to be done, I do think Sherrington is the first one that takes the heave-ho, and he's out. I think it's him first.
I think so, with the moves that have been made. With
I think Farrell would stick with the team if there's a new general manager in play. But that's just where I'm thinking towards. Again, that World Series gives him a free pass. But if he doesn't pull his act together and start winning games when it matters, then there's going to be a problem. Let's shift it again towards the offense for a second. Now, there's some negatives we've talked about. I don't want to have an all-negative show. We can't do that. We have to think positive a little bit. I mean, we have to. Hanley Ramirez has been wonderful. Wonderful player. Wonderful player to watch. Probably their best signing they've had in a while. Now, he did get hurt very recently, and I am concerned about the shoulder because the left shoulder from Hanley has been surgically repaired twice now. So they have to baby it along so it doesn't rush back too soon. Here's my thing, though, with Hanley. Hanley's had some good moments, and he's had his bad moments with obviously in the field. How is Hanley not on this team right now, say being hurt? How does it affect them?
I think mentally they know their guy and their dependable guy is gone.
Okay.
I think there might be a little bit, whoa. Now that
when Hanley got hurt, did you see the cameras at all? Where it panned to?
Yeah. Well, I saw the pan on Buckles. It just looking.
I'm not looking at Buckles. I was from the dugout. Who did the camera go specifically towards going down the dugout? Who went down the dugout steps with Hanley and Farrell when he was trying to get hurt and fixed?
My guess is Ortiz.
It was Ortiz. Ortiz knows that without him in the lineup, they don't have a chance. I know that 100%. I think Hanley being on this team has a big deal to do with David Ortiz. I think he is the one that was single-handedly responsible for getting this guy to come back to Boston. Think about it. He had to go through a position change, which I'm sure he didn't want to do.
Right.
He had to go to left field,
right,
where he's kind of been like Manny Ramirez.
It's the Hanley being Manny.
Hanley being Manny.
That's saying that's going around.
But I think that Ortiz said, we don't have a chance in you-know-what to be a quality team without this bat in the lineup.
And they're saying that he could be possibly back this weekend, but you and I both know that I don't think we're seeing him for another 2 weeks.
Who was the player that we remember the Red Sox? They had a medical team. Was it a couple years ago where they said, "Oh, someone's coming back and he's going to be there and he's going to be fine"? There was somebody, I forget who it was. Oh, it was Ortiz with the Achilles. Ortiz with the Achilles injury. Oh yeah, he's not going to be hurt. And he ended up being hurt.
Yeah, I think with all these players on the DL, whatever league it may be, whatever team it may be, we always see, it's only going to be 15 days, then they get moved to the 60 or the 30 or whatever it may be. I think these precautions are always for the media. Oh, he'll be back this weekend.
Basically, what do you say? You think they baby the players way too much?
Well, yes, and I think also the players may even have something to do with it as well.
Okay. Like, I think Victorino is the key to Babyland.
And I also think that when you tell the media and tell the fans that a player is going to be back pretty soon, you're also you're kind of shielding.
How would Farrell look? Because he told us that, he's day-to-day. He's day-to-day right now, Hanley is. And he goes on the 15-day DL, or it gets to be 30 days.
Yeah.
His credibility take a shot there?
Absolutely.
Of course it does.
You're almost labeled as a liar, and we don't trust you anymore.
No. So the trust has to start again right from that top.
Don't lie about our stud.
So what you want to look at and see is how are they going to pull together right now? Yes, they got their win, but let's see it consistently. Let's see what happens this week. Mm-hmm. We have another game here tonight. They have another game, another big series, and then they go on a West Coast trip. A West Coast trip which includes Oakland, Seattle, and Texas and all those teams. If that's not what defines your season right there, I don't know what does. Because if you don't do well there, then you're in for big, big problems. I think the offense will pull together. I do. I like Hanley the best. Another positive, I think, has been Sandoval. But I think they paid way too much money for him. And I don't think he's worth the money that was given to him. And I think that the Red Sox could have been okay with another person there. And here's why I'm saying this. He can't hit a left-handed pitcher to save his life.
Right.
He has one hit. One hit. He's like 1 for 33 against a left-handed pitcher. When are you going to cut the cord here and say, Pablo, you are not hitting right-handed anymore? He's going to have to switch like Nava did or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So that's another one that I want to look at there. And I really want to see what Rusty Castillo's about. I hope we find that out.
I'd like to see him being called up within the month, honestly.
And again, that's probably going to have to take some designated for assignments and releases, but I think it looks bright for him, and maybe putting somebody fresh out there that wants to show what he can do will be the best thing that ever happened to them.
I'd like to see that.
So we don't want to go all negative. Let's look at the positive. Let's say that today's a new beginning, and they have to go through and they have to pitch effectively and hit effectively. So maybe a switch is flicked, and they're going to go out and produce now. But we'll be the first ones to tell you. I'll tell you, I'll know that. Very quickly with the Bruins whole thing. The Bruins, we know their season ended very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. They did not make the playoffs, and they immediately addressed that by getting rid of Peter Chiarelli, the general manager. The one person that we do not know much about, and it's been very quiet about, is Claude, Mr. Claude Julien. So my question here is, what's going to happen, and what did the Bruins do?
I think Don Sweeney, has he been hired yet?
He's the assistant GM.
Has he? I've heard.
No one's been hired yet.
But I think they're throwing contracts at him. I do think so. I think Don Sweeney, who was with Chiarelli, was his assistant, will be hired.
Long time too.
Will be hired as the new GM, and I think with that, Claude is staying.
Okay.
I think if Don is the GM, Claude stays. But when I look at Claude's system and the rink and the way the puck moves and the line changes and the movement, it's very predictable. It's looked the same for forever since he's been here. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what players are out there, mm-hmm. which is a bit concerning to me. Mm-hmm. It's concerning to me that he's so specific. Mm-hmm. I think Claude needs to broaden the way he plays. And I think he needs, we were saying this for a while now, we need these young studs. And I don't mean young studs.
He doesn't like them.
I don't mean young studs like Krug or Pasternak. I want proven players mm-hmm. who are in the low 30s, age-wise, who can go out there, skate freely, skate quick, and score goals. That's what we need.
Here's my question to you.
That's what we need. Enough with these.
I think what you're saying is exactly what we'd like to see as Bruins fans. But I'm going to tell you right now that Claude Julien, this is not his system.
I don't think it.
He does not like goal scorers. He likes people that are divided equally. We've seen this. Yeah. They're not going to have the 30, 40 goal scorer like Sagan. What do they do if they have somebody like that? Oh, see you later. See you later, Philly boy, Phil Kessel. Yeah. See you later, Sagan. Pack your bags. He doesn't believe in it. So me specifically, I want a new coach. I do. Claude, Thank you for this Stanley Cup, but that was won by your goalie, Tim Thomas. Let's be honest on that one there, too. Let's be honest on that.
Okay.
I love the fact that Cam Neely is the president of the Bruins. I love that. You know why? Because he can't stand what happened last year.
That's exactly right.
So he's going to go out and he's going to figure out a way for this team to get better. That is the one saving grace for this team right now, is that they have somebody at the top who cares, which is extremely huge if you're a Bruins fan.
That's great.
So they need to figure out who the guy is to best lead their team. I personally would love to see somebody like a Mike Babcock come over. Okay, I know he's been with the Red Wings and it hasn't gone so well the past few times. But I haven't heard any kind of contract extension with Mike Babcock yet for a new coach. Another guy that could be out there who offers a lot of fire, knows the Bruins system pretty well, and has a pretty good sense of knowing the system and players is Mike Milbury. He's a guy that's been a broadcaster for a long time, works for NBC Sports. He's been the GM for the Bruins from before. He's been a coach. Right. But that's a guy that will get you, that has a lot of fire and has a lot of ways to win, I think.
So
Milbury could be another potential choice I would go, but I do not want Claude there. All right?
I've also heard another name at thrown around at the top in the general manager's office is Tommy Fitzgerald, who did play just down the street at Austin Prep.
Yep.
And is Massachusetts' own, which I think could be interesting.
There are a few different choices. So it's gonna, as soon as that general manager is hired, I think we'll figure out the answer on what Julian's future looks like. Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be some different changes, I think, that they have to do. In local sports, I know at the top of the show we said that we wanted to go over a couple things in the college and high school level. We do want to send our congratulations to a couple people that are from this area who are going to be on with an NFL team. They were just drafted. So we want to congratulate Jeff Kovitz, and we want to congratulate Stanley Andre, two players that were from the Reading football team, and they had a Super Bowl under their belt. We had Stanley Andre from UMass Amherst, and he was the linebacker, I believe was his position there.
Correct.
And Jeff Kovitz, who was on the line over at Bentley. Bentley or Bryant?
I don't know. I don't know.
One of those. But we do want to congratulate them.
Kovitz
with the Browns and Andre with the Jaguars.
And have we done a show since the hockey championship?
No, we have not.
I also would like to extend our congratulations to my classmates and peers at RMHS for their Division I state championship. The girls hockey team. Mm-hmm. First time in history, Reading High's girls hockey team has won the state championship, mm-hmm. and a tremendous, tremendous performance by all the girls.
Until you see us next time.
I'm Chris Millett.
I'm the Beast. We'll see you next time on Face the Facts. Good night.